Welcome to the Pariksha Academy. Today's topic is Cultural and Educational Rights, Articles 29, 30. Cultural and Educational Rights, Articles 29 and 30. Cultural and educational rights are fundamental rights guaranteed under Articles 29 and 30 in Part 3 of the Constitution of India. The primary objective of these rights is to protect India's linguistic, script-based, religious, and cultural diversity, and to provide minorities the freedom to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. Article 29 primarily protects the right to conserve a distinct language, script, or culture, and provides protection against discrimination in admission to educational institutions. Article 30 gives religious and linguistic minorities the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. Article 29. The heading of Article 29 refers to the protection of interests of minorities, but the right under Clause 1 is not confined only to religious or linguistic minorities. According to Article 29 Clause 1, any section of citizens residing in the territory of India, or any part thereof, having a distinct language, script, or culture of its own, has the right to conserve the same. The word citizens in Article 29 Clause 1 is important. Therefore, the protection under this provision is available to a section of citizens. Section of citizens means a group of citizens possessing a distinct language, script, or culture. For example, if a linguistic community living in a particular region wishes to preserve its distinct language and script, Article 29 Clause 1 provides constitutional protection for such conservation. Conservation does not merely mean passively preserving a culture. Legitimate efforts to maintain, develop, and transmit a language, script, and cultural identity are also connected with the purpose of this provision. Religion is not separately mentioned in Article 29 Clause 1. Its specific focus is on language, script, and culture. Therefore, the beneficiaries of Article 29 Clause 1 and Article 30 should not be treated as completely identical. Article 29 Clause 2. Article 29 Clause 2 provides protection against discrimination in admission to educational institutions. According to this provision, no citizen shall be denied admission into any educational institution maintained by the state, or receiving aid out of state funds, on grounds only of religion, race, caste, language, or any of them. Article 29 Clause 2 is not merely a minority right. It provides protection to every Indian citizen. The word only in Article 29 Clause 2 is important. The prohibition focuses on situations where admission is denied solely on the ground of religion, race, caste, language, or any of them. Article 29 Clause 2 does not automatically apply to every private and completely unaided educational institution. Its text specifically concerns institutions maintained by the state or receiving aid out of state funds. State of Madras vs. Champakam Dorarajan is an important early constitutional decision concerning Article 29 Clause 2. The case dealt with admission to educational institutions in the allocation of seats on a communal basis. Following this decision, Article 15 Clause 4 was inserted by the First Constitutional Amendment Act, 1951, to provide a constitutional basis for special provisions for socially and educationally backward classes and for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Therefore, Article 29 Clause 2 must also be understood within the broader constitutional framework governing equality and admission to educational institutions. Article 30. Article 30 is the principal constitutional foundation of the educational rights of religious and linguistic minorities. According to Article 30 Clause 1, all minorities, whether based on religion or language, have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. Unlike Article 29 Clause 1, Article 30 specifically concerns religious and linguistic minorities. The question of who constitutes a minority is highly important in interpreting Article 30. In TMA Pai Foundation vs. State of Karnataka, the Supreme Court clarified that, for the purposes of Article 30, the status of a religious or linguistic minority is generally to be determined with reference to the state as the unit. This means that a community may be numerically large at the national level, but may still constitute a linguistic minority in a particular state. The expressions establish and administer in Article 30 are both important. Establish means the creation or founding of an educational institution. Administer means the right to take significant decisions concerning the management and operation of the institution. This may include reasonable autonomy concerning internal administration, appointment of staff, admission of students, and preservation of the educational character of the institution. However, this right is not absolute or unlimited. Minority educational institutions may be required to comply with reasonable regulatory laws concerning educational quality, academic standards, qualifications of teachers, health, sanitation, discipline, and administrative fairness. Therefore, Article 30 provides a right to administer, but not a right to maladministration. The state may impose regulations intended to maintain educational standards, protect the interests of students, and ensure proper administration of institutions. However, regulation cannot be so extensive that it effectively destroys the minority community's real administrative control over its institution. In St. Xavier's College v. State of Gujarat, the Supreme Court developed important principles concerning the balance between administrative autonomy of minority educational institutions and reasonable state regulation. Under Article 30, minorities may establish educational institutions of their choice. This does not mean that such institutions must be confined only to teaching their religion or language. A minority community may establish institutions providing general, professional, technical, or other forms of education. A minority institution may preserve its cultural and educational identity while also providing education to students belonging to the wider society. The purpose of Article 30 is to provide minorities a genuine opportunity to preserve their identity through education, rather than isolate them from the national educational system. Article 30 Clause 1a. Article 30 Clause 1a was inserted by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, 1978. This provision deals with the compulsory acquisition of property belonging to minority educational institutions. If the state makes a law providing for the compulsory acquisition of property belonging to an educational institution established and administered by a minority, the amount fixed or determined under such law must not be such as would restrict or abrogate the right guaranteed under Article 30 Clause 1. Its purpose is to ensure that the power of compulsory acquisition is not used in a manner that makes the constitutional right of a minority educational institution ineffective. Article 30 Clause 2. Article 30 Clause 2 deals with state aid to educational institutions. According to this provision, while granting aid to educational institutions, the state cannot discriminate against an institution merely on the ground that it is under the management of a religious or linguistic minority. This does not mean that every minority institution has an automatic fundamental right to receive financial assistance from the state. However, if the state operates a system of financial aid, it cannot discriminate against an institution solely because it is managed by a minority community. The balance between state aid and administrative autonomy is important. An institution receiving state aid may be required to comply with reasonable conditions relating to such aid and educational standards, but such conditions cannot destroy the essential right guaranteed by Article 30. Minority institutions and admission. Minority educational institutions may enjoy constitutional freedom to give reasonable preference to students belonging to their own community in order to meet the educational needs of that community. However, particularly in aided institutions, this right is not absolute and must be balanced with Article 29 Clause 2 and other constitutional requirements. In St. Stephen's College v. University of Delhi, the Supreme Court considered important principles concerning admissions and preference for minority students in aided minority institutions. The TMA Pi Foundation case laid down broad constitutional principles concerning the rights of minority in non-minority private educational institutions, admission, administration, and state regulation. The Islamic Academy of Education case in PA Inamdar vs. State of Maharashtra further clarified principles relating to admissions, fees, and administration in private and minority educational institutions. Institutional autonomy in admissions is respected, but standards such as transparency, merit, and a non-exploitative admission system are also important. Minority status does not confer a freedom to commercialize education or engage in profiteering. Relationship between the right to education and Article 30. The 86th constitutional amendment inserted Article 21A, making free and compulsory education for children between 6 and 14 years of age a fundamental right. The Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act, 2009, was enacted to implement this constitutional mandate. In Pramati Educational and Cultural Trust v. Union of India, the Supreme Court held that the Right to Education Act cannot be applied to minority educational institutions in a manner that violates their rights under Article 30 Clause 1. Difference between Articles 29 and 30. Article 29 Clause 1 gives any section of citizens having a distinct language, script, or culture the right to conserve it. Article 30 Clause 1 specifically gives religious and linguistic minorities the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. Therefore, Article 29 is not confined exclusively to minorities, whereas Article 30 specifically concerns religious and linguistic minorities. Article 29 Clause 1 focuses on the conservation of culture, language, and script, whereas Article 30 focuses on the establishment and administration of educational institutions. Article 29 Clause 2 protects every citizen against denial of admission to state-maintained or state-aided educational institutions solely on grounds of religion, race, caste, language, or any of them. Article 30 provides institutional autonomy to minorities so that they can protect their identity and educational interests through educational institutions. Articles 29 and 30 are not contradictory provisions. They are complementary constitutional guarantees. Article 29 protects cultural diversity and non-discrimination in admission, while Article 30 protects the institutional educational autonomy of religious and linguistic minorities. Through these rights, the Constitution establishes an important balance between cultural diversity within national unity, distinct identities within equal citizenship, and minority institutional autonomy within common educational standards. Thus, Articles 29 and 30 do not merely recognize India's diversity. By protecting language, script, culture, and minority education, they provide practical constitutional protection to the idea of unity in diversity. Thank you very much for joining us. For more useful study material, please like and share this video, and subscribe to the Pariksha Academy channel.